All right, number 10, if the function is 1 to 1, find its inverse. If not, write not 1 to 1. And we've been given f of x equals 4x minus 2. Now, f of x equals 4x minus 2 is a linear equation, something that we've been working with for a long time now. So you might recognize this right off the bat as being a 1-to-1 function. But if not, you can do what we looked at earlier in this practice test, which is to first find f of a, then find f of b, set those two things equal to each other, and hopefully you'll get a equals b after you've cleaned up that equation. So let's go ahead and just for the practice, let's find out if this is 1-to-1 using f of a equals f of b. All right, so first and foremost, let's find f of a. So all we're going to do is take our given function, replace x with a, and so there we have f of a. We'll find f of b. We'll take our given function, replace x with b. And so now that we have f of a, we have f of b, we can set these two things equal to each other. So 4a minus 2 equals 4b minus 2. And let's now see if we can clean this up a little and get a equals b. So first thing we can do is we can add 2 to both sides. When we do that, the 2's cancel, and we're left with 4a equals 4b. We can see that if we divide by 4 on both sides, the 4's cancel, and so we are left with a equals b. So by virtue of the fact that we were able to get a equals b once we set f of a equal to f of b, this tells us that yes, f of x equals 4x minus 2 is 1-to-1, which means an inverse exists, which means we can go ahead now and try to find it. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and follow what page 389 tells us to. And it says, for a 1-to-1 function f defined by an equation y equals f of x, which we have, find the defining equation of the inverse as follows. And they tell you that you may want to replace, it's a good idea to replace that f of x notation with y up front. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's replace that function notation with y, and then equals 4x minus 2. And so step 1 in finding the inverse equation is to go ahead and interchange x and y, meaning swap your x and y's. So we'll have x equals 4y minus 2. Step 2 tells us to then solve for y. So here in this equation, x equals 4y minus 2, let's now solve for y, get y all by itself. To do that, we'll add 2 to both sides. That'll give us x plus 2 equals 4y. And finally, we'll divide by 4 on both sides to get y all by itself. That gives us y equals x plus 2 over 4. And I ran out of room there a little bit. So let me go ahead and we'll move that up. So y equals x plus 2 over 4. And then step 3, our last step, is to replace y with f inverse of x. So we're swapping out the y for function notation here, inverse function notation. F inverse of x equals x plus 2 over 4, and there we have it. So again, first thing we did was we confirmed that f of x equals 4x minus 2 was 1-to-1. We used f of a equals f of b, cleaned it up, and we were able to get a equals b. That tells us the original function is 1-to-1, which means there is an inverse. And then we used the 3 steps here to actually find the equation of that inverse. First, we interchanged x and y. Then we solved for y. And once y was all by itself, once we solved for y, we simply replaced y with f inverse of x notation. And so there we have it, number 10.